What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray-J back with another video. And this one wants to briefly talk about Tesla stock and then break down what the news is saying about the share price and also some very, very important things about the new models coming out, the Cybertruck, and some important news articles that came out for today. But before I break anything down with all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends in 2 days. Check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla. From a technical standpoint, I just want to note that we have a bearish divergence on Tesla and a potential bearish cross on the PPO, which favors downside for the future. Now we have CPI coming out for tomorrow, which could lead to it. So just be very, very careful for all the Tesla investors out there. It is looking more bearish based off technicals. Same thing can be said about SPY with the potential slanted head and shoulders developing. Although this could always be a trap, there still is a real possibility of this leading to downside. Nvidia is looking relatively weak, and so is Apple. So all of this could cause downside as we have a head and shoulders on Apple so far developing. So the odds favor downside. Just be open-minded and prepared. Despite that, we do have some good news that came out for Tesla, as the long term is very bright for the company nonetheless. I just wanted to note that when it comes to news headlines, Tesla had this news right here that came out about how it has introduced a new Powerwall home energy storage. And this is going to be powered by the new kinds of batteries that came out, but it's not officially confirmed. So if this ends up being the case, this would be very bullish for them because this would make their overall efficiency much higher. This will help them become more efficient when it comes to the way in which they're powering these homes. Now, with over 500,000 global installations, Tesla is becoming very, very important for many people's lives. And with the new pictures coming out, there is potential evidence that Tesla is going to be upgrading their Powerwalls with new technology and a third generation of its residential energy storage product. Now, this is very, very good for them because this is going to make it more powerful with more optimized and ease of installation, which means that a single power wall unit could serve as an uninterruptible, power supply for most homes. And that is very, very good for them because when lights stay on, they could power all of their devices in the event of a power outage, and it's going to become more and more useful for people. You can see right here we have more specs about the PW3, which is using the 13.5 kilowatt hour unit. That's going to increase the nominal capacity for it, and this is going to make it more and more powerful. On top of that, it could power more and more devices for longer with those capabilities, and we're continuing to see improvements being made as time goes on. So this is very important when it comes to their energy density. They're continuing to improve, and I find this better for them as time goes on. Now, there's also this news that came out about the Tesla semis in this new independent test. Although the test results are still yet to come out, I just wanted to note that this is still good news for them. Looking at the data, I talked about this yesterday. We started to see how many miles they could travel, how they're looking when it comes to deliveries, and they were doing more tests on their distance by speed. So we have some very, very good data. And you can see that they're very powerful, very efficient trucks. And as time goes on with all these different tests with different amounts of miles, they could see how much energy is being used, how much less it may take for them to, and also more details about their abilities to travel carrying certain loads. Now, there is some talks in this article about how the loads were not heavy enough. They don't truly resemble every single one of the trucks out there, but it still is good seeing that there are improvements being made, and I can't wait to see how this impacts the trucking industry. There's also this news coming out right here about how the Model 3 is getting something that it hasn't had for quite a while, and that's going to be the blind spot indicator. That's very, very good. This will help users see through the blind spots much easier. This will help to avoid more car accidents and things like that. And I consider this very, very bullish, very, very awesome. And I'm referring to the Model 3, the update. So I can't wait to see more and more people buying the Model 3. I can't wait to see the new model that's coming out very soon for Tesla. And that makes me more and more excited. Now, there's this other article coming out saying that the price cuts for Tesla have increased the market share domination. And this basically talks about how the market share has increased to 7.2%. But it has more to do with Tesla's total output, which has increased quite a bit very, very recently. So at the same time, you can see that they ended up accounting for about 67% year over year of all the EV registrations, at least from the period of January to July. And this is actually a lot better than what we saw in 2022 when it was 59.5%. This is good for Tesla. continuing to see a big increase in their new EV registrations, and this is just continuing to show their dominance as time goes on. Tesla, we can see the chart right here. Number two is actually Chevy in the US, followed by Ford and Hyundai. But number one is Tesla, and they're continuing to show how popular they are. This is also some interesting news as we saw this Cybertruck new air suspension that was released. This looks pretty cool. I actually prefer the air suspension. There are more advantages of using the air suspension for like off-road terrains, more rough conditions, and it's going to be a lot easier to get through like big bumps and things like that. But for aerodynamics and turns, the lower end is going to be a lot more efficient. So it really depends on what these users prefer. I personally would prefer the higher end, but it is what it is. I mean, it really depends on what on earth others out there want. So with that said, guys, those are the main headlines for Tesla. Nothing too major. The big piece of news came out with not JP Morgan. I think it was Morgan Stanley. Sorry about that. Morgan Stanley came out and they upgraded Tesla, giving it a $400 target. That's part of why it pushed the way it did yesterday, but now it's starting to cool off as Tesla formed a bearish divergence. Completely normal, so it's not the end of the world. And with that said, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. Get ready for CPI, which is coming up for tomorrow. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you and peace out.